Hi guys, and welcome back to the Just Joshin Show. Today we're joined by a very special guest, Natasha Friend. Natasha, how you doing?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast and video cast and agreeing to spread some of your wisdom.
No worries, thank you for inviting me.
So for those who don't know you, kind of what is it you do? Who are you?
Who am I? So I'm based in Peterborough.
Yeah.
We specialise in the buy, refurbish, refinance model. Also do a bit of bespoke sourcing. That's it. Really.
Okay.
Do the odd flip alongside, but our main sort of focus and business is buy, refurbish, refinance, single lets.
Yeah. So you said buy, what is that?
So that's where you buy a property. So generally you buy at a discount from like a motivated seller. You add value to the property, and then you look to refinance it to pull out most, if not all, of your money.
Okay.
And rent the property out, so you still own the asset. You benefit from the monthly cash flow of the rent.
Yeah.
And obviously any sort of capital appreciation that happens over the time of ownership.
Yeah. And you do that full time?
Yes.
Okay. So you have no job at all? JOB?
No JOB. No. So I took a year career break, December 2018.
Yeah.
Gave myself a target to replace my income within that 1 year, and then handed my resignation in literally this time last year, December 2019.
So December 19. So did you manage to replace your income? Was it sooner than expected?
I managed to do it in that 12-month period, but it wasn't a massive income. I didn't have like a six-figure salary to replace. I was a part-time mortgage advisor in a high street bank, so yeah.
Has been a mortgage advisor helped you in the property investing side of it?
I think to an aspect, yes, because I already understand the finance. I understand sort of the terminology, what ERC means, how bridging finance works, etc. Because we had to sort of study about that to become a mortgage advisor. But saying that, I outsource all of my mortgages to a broker. It's not something I do myself, so I don't think someone that doesn't have the mortgage knowledge, it would stop them from sort of succeeding in property investment. Yeah,
absolutely. So you mentioned financing, so I gave you the ability to do that. So you use investors a lot for your financing, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay, so how does getting an investor on board, and how does that typically work?
So generally, our service is that we help people who have money sat in the bank, earning absolute peanuts at the minute. So people who want to get returns from property but on a completely hands-free basis. So our investors that we work with, generally they'll fund most, if not all, of the purchase price, so they can get the first charge on the property. That just gives them that extra security and makes them feel a lot more comfortable investing. Yeah. And then we, as a company, fund the refurbishment of the works and any costs involved.
Okay.
So if we do end up leaving any money in when we come to refinance, it's our own money. Yeah. Which is why, alongside, we do a couple of flips to compensate for any money left in.
Yeah. So is that kind of what you do? So you do flips for the kind of lumpy cash flow, and it's the BRR to build up that asset base and get the income coming in from the properties?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not a massive fan of selling properties. I like to buy to hold. That's the overall aim. But the flips can really help, especially with sort of chunky money and cash to enable us to keep funding the refurbs as well. Yeah.
So in terms of investors, why don't you use bridging finance? Why go through the headache of finding investors, meeting them at the gym or however you find investors? Why not just use bridging finance?
I have used bridging finance, but I don't know, I like the relationship building aspect of working with investors. Also with bridging finance, you still generally, unless you're buying the property at significantly below market value, you still generally need a deposit. Whereas obviously the investor can fully fund the purchase of the property. The charges of bridging finance are a lot higher. I know the interest rates are generally about the same, but you've got more charges, more complexities of the conveyancing and the legal side of things. And I do actually really, really like some of our investors. Like we get
some of them, not all of them.
Most of them. We get on really well, and I think complement each other in business more than anything. we're obviously extremely grateful for them investing with us, and they're extremely grateful for us doing our job and doing what we say we're going to do, and giving them a nice, healthy return on their money.
So it sounds like quite a good partnership, really. Everyone's doing everybody a great service.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so for people who are trying to find investors, what tips would you have?
Just literally tell anyone and everyone what you do.
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing. And I remember when I was starting out feeling sort of like I was not a fake property investor, but not feeling
just
credible
tell
enough.
Everyone you as a property investor.
Yeah, I was quite anxious about doing that, but I've noticed like the more I share with people what I do, the more interest you sort of raise. Sharing on social media is massive. We've had quite a few investors through social media, some that I've still never even met face to face.
So is it all through Facebook, Instagram? Which ones in particular?
Facebook is what I use, posting in like property communities. I still don't do a massive amount compared to other investors, I think, but what I do post is just sharing our projects, what we've done. Business networking I found quite useful.
So business, not property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because generally when you go to a property networking event, you are there looking for the same thing as everybody else.
Yeah, everyone's looking for investors.
Everyone's looking for investors or for deals, whereas if you go to a business networking event, especially the ones that I went to, you could only have one property business in the room. So you are the property specialist, so if anyone is looking for any sort of service around property, it's only you that they've sort of got to choose from.
Okay. So basically going into the right areas, looking where other property investors aren't, and basically literally flipping it on its head. Where there are no property investors, and then go in there because you're going to stand out more.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So in terms of finding properties, how do you go about doing that?
So we do some direct vendor marketing.
Yeah.
Most of our deals though have come from agents and building relationships with agents, securing viewings before they go on market.
Yeah.
Building relationships with sort of probate solicitors and agents that work closely with them. We do direct mail, which we've had quite a bit of success from. We've done some Facebook ads, we've done some leafleting. But due to the sort of sheer volume of sales that actually go through an estate agent, it's over like 90% of sales are sold through estate agents. Our main focus is the relationships that we're building with them, alongside a bit of sort of direct mail and leafleting.
Yeah.
And the odd Facebook ad campaign when things dry out a bit.
Yeah, I think it's said that most of these deals come from agents, but your best ones come direct to vendor. Do you find that to be true? Yeah,
generally you can sort of negotiate better deals when you're direct to vendor, because you can understand exactly what their sort of motivation is, what their situation is, why they are needing to sell quickly. And that's something that we sort of promote ourselves as a company, is being able to help people no matter what their situation is, that need to sell their property quickly. Whereas when you go through an agent, generally they don't give you the whole story, and they might not even know the whole story from the vendor, because it can be quite embarrassing and people don't want to share personal stuff, whether they're facing repossession or going through a divorce, etc. So when you can get direct to vendor and you can build good relationships with them and rapport and enable them to sort of open up and share what their true situation is, you can create some really good sort of win-win situations for them and for you, and get some good deals, definitely.
Okay, perfect. So in terms of building relationships with agents, how do you get started? Is it just a case of bringing them chocolates every day? is there a better way of doing it? Because I often see on Facebook that you're supposed to go into your estate agents, bring them donuts all the time.
Yeah, no, I didn't really do that. No, I think I was quite lucky because I invested in the area that I've lived in all my life. So I've got some connections with people that I went to school with and things like that. But also just being really consistent. I think having like a clear criteria of what you're looking for really helps, because then you're helping them understand exactly what it is you're looking for. Anytime they have a property come on their books which fits your criteria, they can contact you, and you will then make sure you're going and viewing it, rather than them just phoning you about every single new property that they're taking on. And that was something that I did get at the beginning when I went in and sort of introduced myself to agents and explained that we were looking for investment properties. You'd get a phone call about a brand new house that's just had a full refurb, and that they're looking to sell, which is way over what you can sort of make work with the buy, refurbish, refinance model. So I created like a deal criteria that I then went and delivered to the agents with my business cards.
Yeah.
Try and sort of get a coffee or a tea out of them and make sure you can stay there and have a good chat.
So you didn't take them gifts, you went there to get free tea and coffee?
Yeah. I mean, if we ever sort of completed on a deal, I'd always take champagne and chocolates, and like Christmas I've just dropped biscuits off to agents and things. But I don't know, I just didn't really feel comfortable turning up with a tray of donuts like, hi, I'm Natasha, I'm here to feed you. I don't know if they're poisonous. No, I'm joking. I think just being open and honest, sharing what your sort of business model is, what you're looking for, following through with what you say you're going to do is really important. And I always make sure I justify every offer and explain why I'm offering much below.
Yes, is that a case of listing it out? So we're offering kind of 130,000 because X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
And breaking down how it's going to cost you X, Y, Z to put that right, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go into massive amounts of detail, but I could say, the roof is going to cost us £10,000 alone.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be sort of £30,000 worth of work, and I know that the end value we can sort of achieve looking at comparables is this, which is why I'm offering X, Y, Z.
Yeah, a lot of people just kind of go straight in with a low offer and it gets rejected. So it's all about, I suppose, helping the agent understand why you're doing that. Yeah,
definitely. And a lot of agents won't actually know how much a new roof costs or how much it costs to lower a curb or whatever it is that you're doing. So I think sort of explaining it to them just helps them to educate and understand why you are making these offers. You're not just pissing them off by putting in these 50 grand below.
Everything kind of 50 grand below asking price. That's not the way to do it,
No, you will pee them off and they'll stop taking you on viewings.
So don't do that. So you're from Peterborough.
Yes.
Is it just where you're invest as well?
Yes.
It's around the Peterborough area.
Yeah.
So talk us through your first property. Was that in Peterborough as well?
Yeah. So our first property. So I sold my car and refinanced my house to get a pot of, I think it was about £40,000 to enable us to buy our first property. Yeah. I hadn't had any sort of formal education when we bought it. I'd just sort of listened to all the podcasts, read all the books, etc. So I bought a property in our personal name. I remember like the sort of frustration of viewing all these properties and putting offers in and not being able to secure a deal. So we decided to sort of lower our expectations because it was our own money. We weren't working with investors then. Where we were looking to achieve 50% of our money back out. So we were happy to leave 50% of the deposit and the refurbs, etc. in the property when it comes to the refinance stage. So I managed to secure a deal. It was £135,000 for a 4-bed terrace in Alton Goldhay, which is one of our key areas. We done all the work ourselves, literally all the work. We were still working, me and my husband. So in evenings, weekends, we would go and strip the wallpaper, paint the walls, do everything
really
we
not
could.
A glamorous job, is it?
No, it wasn't fun at all. But it meant that we got the refurb done. So the bathroom was fine. We just needed a new kitchen, a bit of plastering, painting, and flooring. For about £7,000, and this was before I knew about sort of LMPG and setting up trade accounts and which paint to use, etc. So obviously doing it now would probably only cost us £5,000, but back then it cost us £7,000, and then we refinanced 6 months later. So I made a couple of mistakes. I bought it with a mortgage, which technically you're not meant to. And also bought it in my personal name, which looking back now I wouldn't have done because we've already got other properties in our personal name, and it's just easier to have everything in a limited company. Yeah.
So you still got that property now?
Still got that property now. It's now probably worth about 180.
180, okay. So how long ago did you purchase this?
So that was May 2018.
Okay, so that's about 18 months ago?
Yeah,
okay.
It took about 4 or 5 months to complete the refurb, which now would take us like 4 or 5 days probably. Rents out for £890 a month.
That's really
really
high.
Good, really good cash flow. I'd buy more of those again now.
Yeah.
Obviously try and get it for a bit cheaper,
Yeah.
but we're quite happy with the deal, to be fair. Nothing majorly went wrong. It was just the issues with buying in a personal name and buying in a mortgage. And I think it was when I came to speaking to a mortgage broker, and he showed me the difference in interest rates between sort of your personal name and a limited company. That's what swayed me to do it in my personal name, but I would have gone limited company now.
Okay.
If I know what I know now.
So since then, you purchased many properties. How many is it you've purchased since then?
So we've got 13 in total.
Yeah.
So we've purchased, what do we have? We had our first residential property which we kept to let out. So purchased 11. 11.
Oh, wow. That's almost one every month or so.
Yeah, a bit less.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the secret to buying so many properties so fast?
I think working with investors obviously enabled us to scale a lot quicker. So I've raised just over £700,000 from investors.
So basically having the investors there, 'cause I suppose that's the main thing, you can't buy a property without money.
The funds,
So
having the investors there, building the relationships with the agents, because some people have the funds but they just can't find the deals.
Yeah.
So that was quite important, and it obviously slows you down if you can't find deals that stack. And just getting a really good power team on board.
Yeah.
With our trades and our professional power team members.
Did a lot of those come through recommendations? How did you kind of find the best trades? Was it trial and error, or?
Yeah, a few we sort of tried and errored, but we're quite lucky because my husband's a tradesman, a lot of his friends are tradesmen.
Yeah.
So the only ones we really didn't have were electricians and labourers.
Okay.
Tried and tested a few different electricians. Now we've found one which we use with all projects.
Yeah.
He travels to our other gold mine area, which is Wisbeach, to do the work for us. I think they appreciate the amount of work we give them as well, and obviously I refer to other investors and people in the area. They're probably the main thing. Your power team, your investors, and
so you've got those, and now you can basically just copy and paste it and basically have the right people do the properties.
Yeah.
So I suppose finding properties, staying on top of investors is time consuming.
Yeah.
Talk us through a typical day. Is it back to back on the phones to agents, chasing them up, asking where your deals are?
No, I don't think so. I probably view anywhere between 5 and 10 properties a week.
Okay.
A lot of my time is taken up sort of managing the refurbs at the minute. We're project managers ourselves, so we haven't outsourced that. We have the individual trades that we work with.
Yeah.
Also, obviously, I've got sourcing clients, sourcing investors that I spend time communicating with and giving them updates and things. Typical day. It could be varied, and I do find property.
You could go pick up some keys to a house and find out there's a puddle in the kitchen.
Well, like we've done today. Property investing is quite a reactive business, not a proactive, and I've really struggled with sort of time management and time blocking, because if an agent phones me with an off-market deal, I want to go and see it within the next sort of hour or two. So I generally don't sort of structure my days in a time blocking management.
But you've got to be open to whatever comes your way, essentially.
Yeah, the main thing, the way I plan my days, is just having 3 main tasks that I want to get done that day, and then anything extra is a bonus. Yeah.
So I suppose for people that have got part-time property or are employed but want to get into property, what tips do you have for them for kind of finding these deals when you've got to be a bit reactive in terms of being able to see deals? What tips do you have for them? Or is it just a case of if you do want to succeed in property and get the good deals, you've got to be full-time?
I wouldn't tell anyone to just jump straight into full-time. I do think you need to be careful. Make sure, obviously, if you've got a family and you've got bills and things to pay, you don't want to just take the leap and quit your job. But I think you can outsource a lot. You can, like, if you've got older parents that are retired, you can ask them to do viewings, you can do virtual viewings, especially now a lot of agents are doing virtual viewings. And if you build that relationship with the agents and sort of explain, look, I will come and do a viewing any day, but it's got to be in my lunch break or after work or on weekends, then I think they're quite accommodating, especially if you've got that good relationship and they know you're going to want to buy the property once you've seen it.
So just get that team set up, essentially. Find people who can do it for you, just make it work.
Yeah, definitely. You've only got so many hours in the day. If you are working full time, then obviously it's going to be more difficult. But just try and schedule the viewings when you can. I think whilst you're sort of starting out, it's going to be rare that you're going to get as many phone calls for off-market viewings right at the beginning. You sort of need to prove to the agents that you are who you say you are, and you are going to buy the properties and do what you say you're going to do. But once you've built the relationship and built the momentum, it all sort of starts to snowball, and you can outsource as much as you possibly can, especially if you are working full time. I'd get a VA scraping the data from Rightmove and Zoopla, doing your direct mail letters. Obviously get your leaflets outsourced, Facebook ads if you want to do that. You can have a telephone service so they can take messages from people that respond to your direct mails and your leaflets. There's lots and lots of things that you can use.
Lots of it by the sounds of it. You can basically do to streamline your business and save your time and leverage it, really.
Definitely.
Okay, so for people that do want to learn more about BRR and property investment, is there anything you can do to help them?
So during lockdown, actually, I set up a online BRR academy. So it's a 12-module course, all online, all pre-recorded, but you can ask questions and it can be quite interactive. Covers off everything from sort of identifying your goldmine area, how to find deals and direct-to-vendor leads, how to work with investors, the different investment structures you can do. Finance, there's a brilliant section on tax by a tax specialist. Systems, apps, it literally just covers off all the fundamentals of
everything you know up here, from having built your property business over the past almost 2 years in one course for people to digest and understand.
Definitely, and everything I've learnt from my own education. I've spent almost £20,000 on property education myself now. So
does this cost £20,000?
No, not even a tenth, I don't think. No, even less than that. So it is really good money, value for money, and it's something that they can learn from home at a pace that suits them. Some people that have done it in sort of days, others do it over weeks or months. I just wanted to create something that was really accessible and meant that they didn't have to spend thousands of pounds on their education like I did. I didn't have to, but I chose to. And I'm glad that I did. But all that information and knowledge I've learnt is
all there, all the best bits, essentially, all the key elements. In one easy to learn course. I'll put the link to that in the show notes. So if you are interested, definitely check that out. But to wrap things up, if you had a billboard with one quote on it that everyone in the world would see, what would you put on it?
Oh my God.
The most difficult question last.
That is. You could have pre-warned me. One quote.
Just a mantra that you live by, one quote that you like a lot, anything along those lines.
It's quite cheesy, but I do really like Robin Moore's one, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything, because everyone says to me, like my friends that aren't involved in property, like, do you not get really scared? Like, you've now got over £1 million worth of mortgage debt. Like, does that not freak you out? Or
no, because I've got more than that in assets.
Or what if house prices crash? What if this happens? What if that happens? But if I had that mentality, I never would have started property investing.
You'll be at work right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Selling mortgages.
And at the beginning, I did sort of get a little palpitation and a heart attack every time I'd get a new mortgage. But now it's just like nothing.
Just signing away.
Just signing on a bit of paper. Obviously, it's a calculated risk, and everything's analysed and reanalysed. But I think you've got to take risks in business 100%.
So that's if you don't risk anything, you risk everything.
Yeah.
One of Rob Moore's favourites.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
That's all for today. Bye, guys.
Bye.